Are we having fun yet?
Yeah.
I want to thank Lady Stephanie, and I want to thank Mike, and I want to thank everyone here at Sacred Seed for all the hard work that I know you have put into this event, and for all the wonderful times that lay ahead, not only during this weekend, but in years to come. And this is the first global lustration I've attended at Sacred Seed, but I've attended a number of regional lustrations here. And I want to say that the heart that you put into the things that you do, and the work you put in, is apparent to everyone who comes. And it is a wonderful thing to see. And we have been in the process of growth and expansion for many years. But I really do feel that we have come to a level of stability and a level of expression of our spirituality and our beliefs that I find very heartwarming. For many years, it was all about the future, about where we're going, about what we're building, and of course this is still important. But today we can look around and we can see the things we are building, the things we have built, the wonderful people that we have, and it really is a wonderful thing to see. I can remember when this tradition was a handful of people from one family, and today we're a family around the world. And to have watched that process has been wonderful and tiring and frustrating and wonderful all at the same time. And over the years we have dealt with so many problems and so many victories and so many wonderful growth experiences. And no doubt many more are coming. But to see how the flower has blossomed is truly heartwarming. And every time I come to this temple, and many of our other temples as well, but every time I come to this temple, I really do see how the flower has blossomed and how the vine has spread. So, congratulations everyone at Sacred Sea, you are doing a wonderful job. And congratulations obviously, my cousin Lady Crystal could not be here this weekend because of health issues. But she would want me to say how much it means to her that people felt the desire to honor her on this occasion. And she would really have liked to have been here if she could. And the fact that she was not able to does speak to the importance of the changes we are making in our tradition. Everybody, I think, is aware of the fact we've added many new elders, including Lady Stephanie, in the last year. We have a new first priestess, Lady Tracy. We have a new first elder. And the reason that we're taking these steps is because we who have been here these many years, in many cases, are now becoming old and tired. And although we have many years to go, we need help. And we not only need the help of our new elders, we need the help of everyone. And if we are to move forward as a tradition, we all have to walk together. We all have to join hands. We all have different jobs. There are many, many different things to do. But I really hope that everyone will join us in doing what they can to move forward. And that means many different things. At the Watan meeting yesterday, we talked about things like our record system, communication systems, volunteers to help with the many different things we're trying to do. But you know, it's not only these structural situations that we need help in. We also need help in just making everyone feel welcome and making everyone feel that they are doing the things that need to be done, or if they're not doing what needs to be done, help them find the path. We have, I feel, one of the most welcoming traditions going, and I'm very proud of that. And I want to see that continue to grow. And you know, to me, when I think of our tradition, I already used the analogy of a flower, but it really is like a garden. You know, all kinds of things will grow in your garden. But if you want the things that you want to grow in the garden, you have to nurture them. And each one of us nurtures the things that come into our lives. And so we have to focus on what we want in our life and nurture that. We want to focus on what we want in our tradition and nurture that. And so if there's anything that I find most notable to say about this particular temple, and I believe about this weekend, it's that it nurtures the good things, and then they grow. And that's what we all need to do. I want to say a few words about Lady Crystal, because that would seem to be appropriate to the theme of the weekend, and even if that were not the theme of the weekend. I want to talk about some of the things I learned from her that I think have made our tradition different from some others, certainly unique in certain ways. And one of the things that was strong in the entire family, but which she also makes a very strong emphasis on, is finding the good in everything, because there's always something good. You have to look for it sometimes, and sometimes it's the smaller part, but it's going to be there. And if you look for it, you will find it. And when you find it, you can nurture it and make it grow. Another thing that I got from Crystal that I have followed all of these years, when I talk about it in the books, when I came to my third degree, what she said to me was that this is not the ending of your education, it's only the beginning. These things are your basis. Now you build on them. And if there's anything that I can impart to everyone who's studying a degree system, is that what we teach you is a foundation, and then you will continue to build for your whole life. And each person will build on that foundation the house that is right for them. They're not all going to be identical. Some of us have certain skills, some of us have other skills, some of us have certain interests, others have different interests, and that's wonderful. You'll notice hanging behind me these lovely banners made by Reverend Alyssa. Why do we have these lovely banners? Because we have someone who has this talent and is willing to share it, and because our system is flexible enough to find a place for all talents. And it's a wonderful thing. It enriches us all. There are many traditions or temples you would go to who might never think to do such a thing. But because we have people who have this inspiration, we can grow in that direction. As you look around the grounds, you'll see a stage for theatricals. You just heard a beautiful musical performance. Again, different people have different talents, and we need all of them, because it is not cookie-cutter people that we want to be. Because if we were all the same, we'd be bored to tears. And, you know, Crystal and I are a lot alike. We've had very few disagreements in the decades of our lives. And frequently, when we thought we had a disagreement, found we were only saying the same thing in different ways. But in working with people, neither she nor I ever wanted to just work with people like ourselves. We wanted to meet different people, different talents, different skills, different interests, different personalities. And this is what makes the world beautiful. If every flower in the garden is the same flower, it'll be beautiful, but you'll get tired of looking at that same flower all the time. It's nice to have a variety. And in looking at our theology, in looking at the idea of why this world exists, that attitude really is what I think Goddess had in creating this world, the desire for more than one flower, the desire for more than one color, more than one experience. And I'm going to make a nerd reference.
Yay!
This one is attributable to Lady Bitterwind, but you know, in Star Trek they have edict, infinite diversity and infinite combination.
Yeah.
And I do believe that is one of the great moral statements of what existence is meant to be. And the more diversity, the more combination you have, the more there is to learn, the more there is to learn, the more there is to experience. And it's a wonderful thing. So, as Sacred Sea Temple goes forward, what I expect to see is for all of these different things to continue to grow. And where will they grow? Well, one doesn't know. There may be new flowers, there may be different flowers, but the garden is only going to get better. And that's what I expect to see from our tradition as well. I expect to see lots of interesting new people who aren't necessarily going to be just the same as I am, or as Crystal is, or as anyone else. And as we expand around the world, we now have people who come from very different cultures from our own, and yet have found a home within our tradition. We have people who do not speak the English language, but have found a home in our tradition. In the temple theming yesterday, this was one of the things talked about, the need for more materials in other languages because our people no longer only speak English. And when we went to the Parliament of World's Religions, we took our literature in 21 different languages, all of which came from among our own people. And our garden is expanding exponentially. And as we deal with people from other parts of the world, one of the things we must be aware of is that what they face in their part of the world may be drastically different from what we have in ours. At the Watan meeting yesterday, I spoke of our temples in Africa. We have a number of temples in Africa, and they are in a nation, mostly all in South Africa, but not all of our people in Africa are in South Africa. But the nations there are much less stable than our own. Years ago, when we were sending packages to our temples in Africa, we were told that we had to be very careful because it was likely that the postal offices would simply take whatever they wanted and send on the rest, which would never, well, we wouldn't usually hear of in this country. But that's part of what they live with there. When I went to Africa 10 years ago, every member of the temple had had some brush with violence because the country was very unstable. As we look to our people in South America, we have a number of temples and people in South America. In many cases, they are in countries which have much greater problems with poverty and instability than we do. We have people expanding throughout India. India is one of our greatest areas of growth because for many people who come from a Hindu background, our theology is very familiar, but carries a different social system that gives them greater freedom. But they face very different social circumstances there, including a much more crowded country and in some places a great deal of violence in outlying areas. And so, as we survey our garden and as we see it spread around the world, we must remember that we are facing so many different things than what we faced 30 years ago. I can remember a time, well again, when we were a small familial tradition with only a few members, we weren't even necessarily sure that we were ever going to meet people much like ourselves. And boy, were we surprised. And that's a wonderful thing. And the ancestors laid it all out. Years and years ago, all of this growth was spoken of. The things we'd be facing were spoken of. But it was remote from us. We were told, you know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, you should be ready. And I believed it. And Crystal believed it. But that's not the same as understanding it. So tomorrow, in the lustration ceremony, we will have the oracle of the ancestors. You know, I have to tell you, their oracles are often breathtakingly accurate, but you don't always understand them when they come. Now, Liz is nodding and smiling because she's seen some of those. And, you know, it's very fashionable now to speak of ancestors in many other traditions. But years ago, we were the only one who did much with our ancestors. And that's something that is not going to diminish in our future. One of the things that I have found most interesting as I have watched the garden growing is how many people speak to our Correllian ancestors. And people who talk to one ancestor or another, would you raise your hands for a moment? It's a lot of hands.
Yeah.
What I find most interesting, having known these people and having spoken to them in spirit for decades, is that the other people who are receiving messages from them, they're getting the same voice. They're getting the same kind of messages. It's the same personalities. Even though I have not necessarily spoken to them about what they would be like, but I recognize them. And to me, that is a wonderful validation of the skill of our people in speaking to the ancestors, of the psychic ability of our people. one of the things that makes us different from some other traditions, not all, but some, is we do have a very strong emphasis on the psychic arts and on the communion between the worlds. And we say frequently that we are a circle not only composed of we who are here in this world, but they who are in the other world. We are all still holding hands. And this is absolutely true. They are as active in what we are doing as we are. We don't always see them, but frequently we do. And so, honoring Lady Crystal, even though she's not physically here, is not unusual for us, because there are many others who are not physically here, but they're here, and they're watching, and you may hear from them during the course of the weekend. And I feel that we will only see more of this as we go forward. We will see more people who speak to the ancestors, who hear from the ancestors, and who find this to be a source of wonderful teaching and inspiration. And you know, I can only say that I have no idea what my life would be like if it were not for the guidance of the ancestors, because they have really led me forward at every stage. And years and years ago, when they said things like, you know, you're going to be all over the world, I believed it, but I didn't have an understanding of what it meant. They still say things that I kind of look at it and say, that's going to be real interesting when we get there. I don't know what to make of that. But there's more coming. And we need everyone to be on this road who is with us, because there is enough work for every hand. And far from being anywhere near the middle of our journey, we're just getting started. And there's a lot more to come. I think the last thing I'm going to say, although I may surprise myself, but I think the last thing I want to say is I noticed something at this illustration that has been a growing trend. But we had more groups asking for deeming than we had people coming for initiation this weekend. And I know why this is, because you no longer have to come to illustration to get your real-time initiation. You can do it in your own temple. Many of the high priesthood travel and do initiations where they go. But to see so many groups coming forward really, really is a wonderful thing, I think. And the number of people who are asking to form Witan shrines, who are taking their Witan shrines forward to temples, has not slowed at all. It is as strong as it ever was. The number of people entering our outer court has sped up from where it was. Now, we do have a little bit of a problem with communication. Those who were at the Witan meeting the other day will know that we recently sent out an email to everyone in our database, of whom a very small number actually responded, but a great number apparently have new and different emails that we don't know about. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get everybody back in communication with us, because I know those people are still there. I see them in the lists, I see them posting, I see them on Facebook, but they didn't get their emails. So if you did not get that email, please send us your email, because it means we don't have the most recent one. And I also am going to be asking someone to collect emails during the course of the weekend, because I want to send everyone a file of our mini booklets. And we have taken some of our Correllian literature and put it in booklet form for people. And those of you who have groups or temples, or just people that you would like to give something that explains what we do. Perhaps you have relatives who don't understand what you're involved in. These are excellent resources for educating people. And we have maybe half a dozen of them in this format as mini booklets. You just plug them in and print them out. It includes the 5 Mystic Secrets, it includes the Correllian Creed, it includes soul retrieval, and several other things as well. And we're planning to expand these. So we're really looking to help people to understand, we're looking for more communication, and we're expecting to just continue growing. And I want to close by saying I'm very happy to have all of you in the garden. And it's a beautiful garden. And so I want you to just take a moment and look around you at the different people in the room. And realize that this is a family. And there are many people who are here who are not physically here, not only people who are in spirit, but people who are watching from around the country or around the world who could not come in person for one reason or another, but they're waiting for the reports from the illustration, for the videos from the illustration, for the photos that are already going out from the illustration. And it's important to them. And it helps them to feel that they are part of our family, which they are. And it helps them to feel connected. And so, in a way, you're here for yourself, but you also are here for many other people. And just being here is helping. So thank you, everyone. And I hope that this is a wonderful weekend for all of us. Thank you.